Of all the things on the 2024 presidential election bingo card between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and Trump won, was this. Nelson Peltz, in a recent interview, who's been silent the last few months since exiting the Walt Disney Company proxy battle, came out and admitted that, hey, I was the guy that put Elon and Donald Trump back in touch with each other. And lo and behold, look where we are about a year later. We appreciate you, Nelson. Nelson also talked about some other things in this article that we found fascinating, but, well, let's get into it. Nelson Peltz has revealed that he is the guy who connected Elon Musk with Donald Trump. There's more to the story, as you can see in the byline here. Peltz also said that he thinks that James Gorman, Morgan Stanley, board of directors of the Walt Disney Company, will, quote, get a respectable CEO at Disney and one that will be named next year. So Nelson is still peltzing out there. He doesn't think that they're going to wait till 2026. He's saying basically we'll know who it's going to be in 25. And I hope he's right. They need some solid foundation there. But we covered this image a while back. Peltz with Elon Musk. This was at a movie premiere. Lola, the attractive brunette lady there. That's actually one of Nelson's daughters. So this was at a movie premiere not long ago. But here we go from The Hollywood Reporter. Activist investor, a term he hates, but I get it. He's not a passive investor, that's for sure. Activist investor Nelson Peltz says that he's reconnected Tesla CEO Elon Musk to President-elect Donald Trump, hosting the two of them for breakfast at his home in the late spring, months before Elon Musk began to support Trump's campaign. Speaking at CNBC's Delivering Alpha conference in Lower Manhattan on Wednesday, today, Peltz noted that he is a personal friend of Musk's and that he and his son, Diesel, a tech founder, hosted the pair. Quote, Elon was at the house for a weekend. We had breakfast and invited Donald for breakfast. They sort of reunited again. Peltz told CNBC's Sarah Eisen on stage, I was a matchmaker. That was late last spring. Since then, look, I don't know what Donald would have had if Donald would have had this sweeping victory without Elon Musk. Elon was in Pennsylvania. I thought he was going to be Amish. He was there full time. Very, very Peltz jokes. As for Elon Musk's new role in the administration as the co-head of the Department of Government Efficiency, Peltz was also optimistic. If Donald gives him the opportunity, he will cut costs, and that's what we need to do. We need to cut costs. Peltz also discussed his failed proxy fight against the Walt Disney Company earlier this year, joking that he might make another run at the company if the stock price falls to a low enough price, and predicting that it will name a successor to CEO Bob Iger before the end of next year, not 2026, as incoming chairman James Gorman previously indicated. Nelson Peltz says about the proxy fight, the index funds didn't want me to win. BlackRock, Vanguard. We've talked about this. The index funds get paid a lot of money from Disney, and they didn't want me to win. Adding that he bought the stock when it was in the 80s and sold it all at $119. It wasn't much of a celebration with the victory because it went back down to the 80s, and now it's getting close to 100 again. When presented by Eisen whether he might take another run at the company, Peltz would not rule it out. He said, if the stock goes back to the 80s, I'll be back. You can count on me, he said, laughing. So Nelson Peltz has reaffirmed his interest in making another run at Disney if the price is right. And honestly, I think one of the only reasons that the Disney stock, we've talked about this before, is back up now just a shade over $100 a share is largely because of what's happened in the broad markets. It's really not anything per se that Disney has done. It is basically kind of more or less paste. It has been pulled up in the last couple of months by the broad markets. And we don't know what impact the actual earnings call is going to have tomorrow on that, but we will know in just a few, about 12 hours from now, as a matter of fact. We'll be beginning our coverage there. As for the CEO prediction, Nelson Peltz says that he believes that Disney will name a successor next year, not 26, but he's optimistic that Gorman is equipped to find the right person. I know Gorman. He's a good man. He's going to do a great job, and he will get a respectable CEO. The last two CEOs, Bob Iger and Michael Eisner, I don't know what happens in that office at Disney. If you're there for a couple of years, you think your name is Walt. Nelson Peltz, man. Dropping the frickin' hammer. Man, is that a great line, though. You notice, look who he named. He named Michael Eisner and Bob Iger. He said the last two CEOs, he didn't name Chapek. I wonder why. Because Chapek didn't get enough time in there to even begin to think his name might have been Walt. Man, I have tried to reach out to Nelson Peltz's office through his media person. He's not doing really, this is the first time this was an investor conference. I'm so far beneath this, it's not funny. But I've asked several times over the last few months that I'd still love to do an interview with Nelson Peltz. But I kind of got to wonder, because I sent his media person some of the videos that we had done, links to the videos. And I know when we used to follow him on X on Restore the Magic, we were making the jokes all the time about it being the Bob Iger company. And that, he basically thinks that he founded it. And all he's done is buy other people's stuff, like Pixar, like Marvel, like Star Wars, and just throw it under the Disney banner. It's kind of a funny comment for Nelson to make. I'm kind of wondering maybe he didn't see some of those videos. We kind of had our suspicions that he did. We had it on good authority. It is pretty cool, though. But there you have it. I mean, Nelson Peltz is feeling optimistic, and I think that's the key takeaway. Nelson Peltz is feeling optimistic about this Disney situation with James Gorman from Morgan Stanley. And I think especially now, because, look, without James Gorman, there's no way Bob Iger looks outside the company. I know that we're looking at people in the company and out of the company. I'm like, bullcrap. I seriously doubt that. So I'm glad this is actually happening in this manner. This is the way it should happen. Nelson Peltz is optimistic. I like it. I'm willing to give it a wide berth, because if Bob Iger is not actually in control of it or has seriously reduced control, then they've actually got a chance of finding a proper CEO. We'll see. Make sure you're subscribed to Valiant Renegade and join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern for the live show.